You are listening to the Savage FINcast Retro, Episode 31, Super Patriot, Liberty and Justice 1 and 2.
Chicago. The criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast Retro, the show that realizes it has been far too long since we recorded, and we apologize for that. The summer got on top of us. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
And I am once again Mark Welzer.
Hey, Mark, it's good to have you on again. Thanks for filling in as required. It's good to have three people on a podcast, I've always said.
Anytime you guys need me, I will try to make accommodations to be here. I love it.
Awesome. We are here on another episode of the Savage FINcast, the show where we typically go back to the past to look at the Savage Dragon and related comics of the past. We are got a really cool episode, I think, lined up today, as we are finally getting to the second Super Patriot series, Super Patriot, Liberty and Justice, which, for my money, is probably the best of the Super Patriot miniseries. I mean, they're all good, but I think this one's kind of peak.
I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
Now, me personally, fun fact, I'm pretty sure I read this before I read the first miniseries, because back in, like, what does this say, 2003, 2004, 2002, back in 2002, for whatever reason, this particular miniseries got a trade paperback release. When really none of the other... Well, I think I take that back. I'm pretty sure the Kirkman books did got collected, but the first series didn't. So it was really nice to get this at the time, just because there was I was so getting into Dragon that anything even related was just cool to have. Of course, this was back in the yellow Image spine era. You can always tell. I believe that was a Jim Valentino thing at the time.
Where all the numbers are all different sizes.
Oh, yeah.
So ugly, and then it was like, volume 2 is like different font.
I forgot that they collected that. Do you have yours in front of you, Jim?
That's what I'm reading out of.
Okay, is there anything in there that we need to discuss? Should I go grab mine, or are we good?
I know it's got a new cover, right?
There's a new cover, and there's a sketchbook in the back.
Okay.
Sketchbook's pretty interesting, just to see some of the stuff that Dave Johnson did. I don't know if it's critical because it's only 5 pages.
Okay.
Otherwise, the only thing I'd say is, oh no, these aren't covers. These are like posters, I think. So in the back matter, just to cover it, the covers and the pinups are in the back. They didn't put the covers between the issues. So you get all four of the covers, but then you get these 2 pinups, which I'm pretty sure are the posters that we've seen previously. One is with all the Robo-Goons that Super Patriot is falling from. He's shooting into the sky. And then another one's got Liberty and Justice fighting, I think, one of the Covenant of the Sword guys. But I actually don't recognize this. Maybe this was in one of the issues. But I'm not sure.
I think it was a pinup in Savage Dragon.
I don't recognize it. Maybe it'll come up later.
I remember, Eric, the question come up, why wasn't the first series ever collected in a trade? I think maybe it was the film or something.
It's got to be.
Probably the same reason why the early Dragons weren't reprinted. Or
needs to be recolored is very likely.
I think only Liberty and Justice and America's Fighting Force have been collected in trade.
Okay.
Which it would be nice to get a phone book or some kind of omnibus of the Super Patriot stuff because that
America's Fighting Force #4 has my first published pinup.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. I was very young, and I'm not proud of that, but it's in there forever now. There's nothing I can do about it.
There's a bunch of guys. Like I feel like Mark Englert has a pinup.
Englert had
too.
one. I don't remember who else. But
Mark
yeah,
Englert, who went on to draw the Mighty Man backups that were collected and
God War and
Yes.
some Freak Force.
the Freak
Backup.
Force backup in 115.
Yeah.
Which I actually own original art for that.
Well, I own the original pinup that I did, so now we're even.
Nice.
Right.
I think that Welser guy's going places.
Well, not
Hold on
fast
to
enough.
that.
Right.
So, Liberty and Justice #1. Of course, this is following up from the first Super Patriot series, where we've seen Super Patriot in Savage Dragon. He's basically finally free of the his brainwashing problems, and is just doing the superhero thing, I guess. Primarily being attacked by the Covenant of the Sword. So right off the bat, this cover is like one of the coolest covers ever. Of this,
It's so cool they had to print it on the back without the logo.
Then didn't Cory Waka homage this cover?
I think he may have.
I'm pretty
Or he's
sure
done something very similar.
when he did the miniseries or something, he did this as a pinup or something in that. Of course, I didn't do my homework and look it up, but
Yeah, I actually don't recall. It's been a while. Oh,
been a
actually,
while.
you know what? The cover is homaged by E.J. Sue on War and
E.J.
Terror
Sue.
#1.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
was
cover
it.
is very
Maybe
similar
that's what I'm thinking of.
composition-wise. Although, is this an E.J. Sue cover?
America's Fighting Force would be Cory Walker.
No, this is War on Terror. The interior.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
So interiors were E.J. Sue. The cover was by Cory Walker, so it is
Yes.
a Cory Walker
So that, all
drawing.
right, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, this takes place after Freak Force. Do we know where we're at in the Savage Dragon timeline? Around what issue?
20, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah. Last one we reviewed was 1819. So yes, we are at issue 20 in Dragon Timeline. June 95, I believe.
All right.
Yeah, and if you look at the ads, this is around the time of like Vanguard 1 is coming out. I think Wildstar, they're planning for his second series.
We'll have to cover that. It's pretty short. Should be a pretty easy episode. We'll get that done soon.
And then Star is out now, which we'll talk about real soon as well.
This is a really busy time for the spin-offs because we got the Super Patriot, we got the Star, we got there's another Deadly Duo miniseries going on.
Dart.
Dart will be
And
happening.
Eric's working on the cartoon at this point too.
Right. That might explain it. Expanding all the cartoons on the air. I think Dart's still a little ways away, but it is coming up.
Yeah, I think Dart's within like a year of this.
Yeah,
we're gonna get
this is like the peak of the highbrow
Yeah.
publications right here.
expansion era. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is within like 2 years we'll be back just to Savage Dragon.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is somewhat unfortunate, to be completely honest, because I still believe Super Patriot's like the most marketable spin-off character he's got, and it's really unfortunate it's had so few runs, I suppose.
And all of its runs have had spectacular teams on it. you know?
Yeah. So Covenant of the Sword. We don't see these guys very often anymore, but they were a big deal in this period. I'm pretty sure they're a Giffen creation, which we should probably talk about the creative team on this book, because it's actually really interesting to me. Because this book was, of course, let me get the credits on this. So it was plotted and came up with by Keith Giffen, and of course it was penciled and inked by Dave Johnson. But the script, the words, were all written by Tom and Mary Bierbaum. Now I don't know how familiar you guys are with Tom and Mary Bierbaum, but they
live in my town.
Oh,
I saw them not too long ago at an ice cream shop.
Well,
Yeah,
this
they live
really-
right here.
Did you ask for their autograph and scream at them?
No, well, they were with my friend Bob, and I'm like, "Oh, you're the Beer Bombs." Like, yeah, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm a big fan of your work on Star and Superpatriot." Like, usually people talk to us about Legion or whatever. I'm like, no, Star and Superpatriot.
It's probably like the first time I've heard that in like 20
Probably.
years.
Yeah,
But they were pretty involved with Giffen at this period of time, and as you said, they did an extensive run on Legion of Superheroes, starting with Giffen with the relaunch in '89, and then continuing up through like issue I want to say 30 or 50. I can't recall right off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
They've also did the Heckler, I think, at DC Comics, if you remember the Heckler, which was another Giffen book.
Yep.
But you see around this time you start seeing their names on like a lot of like Image Comics as scripters, and it's kind of what they're known for, is for like actually doing like the words that characters say and stuff. And I generally like their writing and their scripting and such. I just find it fascinating that they're kind of entwined with Savage Dragon in this period.
Yeah.
this is like the most natural dialogue I've heard or read in like any of these Dragon
Spin-off.
books in a long
Yeah.
time. Yeah, it's like it's really, really sharp.
Yeah. There's a lot of things going on in this first issue. Like, it's just well written, well paced.
Now it says here Giffen is storyteller, and I assume that means he was still doing
All his
drawing
thumbnails, probably.
his thumbnails and stuff.
I would believe it because that's how he works.
And I imagine Dave Johnson probably
Embellished.
embellished quite a bit on them, because we see what Vic Bridges did with Keith's layouts and what.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be too hard to just ask Johnson how the process went, because he's not too hard to get a hold of. Maybe for the next set of issues, I will get an answer to that, because that would be an interesting question, if whether or not Giffen laid this all out for him, and then he just kind of worked with that, or if he was allowed to like do it himself.
Because looking through it, there is a lot of these like kind of panel configurations that do look Giffen-y, but like the shots and the compositions don't really look like Giffen.
No.
And there's not a lot of besides covers to look at for Dave Johnson. I mean, how many issues of anything has he done besides Super? I don't even know. All I know is the Super Patriot stuff, and
he's done Super Patriot, and he's done Red Sun, and he's done
right, Red Sun.
Oh right. He did what was it called? Chain Gang something at DC. Oh, what the hell's that book called?
No idea.
This
Did a page of Invincible.
This is a funny like footnote, is that he did a 12-issue mini maxi series at DC Comics called Chain Gang War. I have a whole
5 years to come out.
No, it came out. It came out between 93 and 94. But it's like just the weirdest nothing comic you can imagine. It came out during like Nightfall era Batman. There's a crossover with him in this. It's just a weird, odd thing where he's done so few interiors, and yet he did 12 issues on this.
Well, the guy's a master at design and designing characters. Like, he draws some pretty beautiful stuff, but I'm wondering if just having Giffen lay it all out and him just kind of adding his touches probably sped up the process. But obviously the guy doesn't like to draw sequentials.
Well, it's hard work.
And I think it's a lot, it's a better payday to just do a bunch of covers.
Good work if you can get it.
And honestly, like his covers are like some of the best graphically designed covers that I've seen in comics.
Because he did covers for BPRD for years, right? And he also did covers for like various other like
100 Bullets was
100
like
Bullets.
a big thing for him. And then various covers here and there. But then he does a lot of like or did a lot of TV work. Like I think he did a lot of the designs for Ben 10 and stuff like that.
I gotta say, the angle of the shots in this opening action scene of the first issue are insane. The one where he's crashing into the second panel of the second page, where he's like crashing into the hotel sign or whatever, and he's like falling to the street.
Yeah.
And that one where he's running down the street from the planes in traffic. Dave Johnson's a guy who definitely can draw a car.
Yeah, I mean, just how dynamic, even those little like jet things flying all around, like just Wow, it's pretty amazing. That first page of like swooping in with the missiles and the machine gun blast.
And of course, Iliopolis is also going absolutely nuts on this series.
And the cityscapes look really nice too. Like these buildings, they look like buildings.
Yeah, the vehicles, everything.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think this is probably his best stuff sequentially that I've seen.
And according to this, he inked it all himself too. So this is like a one-man job. All this detail.
Yeah, and versus the first miniseries, I think this the coloring is a lot more complementary to his style this time around too.
And it's pretty amazing, like the stuff he can come up with. Super Patriot. I mean, he took something from Larson. Super Patriot's guns were basically just tubes. And that's, it was just basically guns. And if just looking in these first like 3-4 pages, he's got Super Patriot using like rocket boosters on his like feet to like shoot up in the air. Mm-hmm. He's got like almost that kind of Akira arm where it's like shooting all those like, it's all stretching out and blasting into the cockpit.
Yeah.
It's just pretty amazing looking. It's just real fun to look at. Super Patriot is such a fun character because you can do all that stuff. He's kind of like Mr. Fantastic on steroids.
He definitely put his mark on the character to the point where, what was it, issue 9, where Eric had him draw all the guns.
Yeah.
For him.
Issue 9 of the Savage Dragon series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know Dave wanted to redesign Super Patriot. There was an episode of Drink and Draw. It was like him and Dan Panosian and Jeff Johnson and somebody else probably. They're talking about Super Patriot came up, and he said he always hated the design, but he wanted to redesign it, and Eric said no.
I mean,
but he did get to design Liberty Hill.
Yeah, which is a great costume considering too. It's like,
is it? I was gonna
think so.
I think Liberty's costume's a little, I don't know, awkward. I mean, it's fun. I mean, I'm not gonna say I hate it, but I feel like it lacks a certain like cohesiveness. The upside down star for the crotch just seems very on the nose.
I do feel like they're ahead of the time. Like, this is '95. I mean, this is with the jacket and the pants. That's stuff that they, just started doing. Like, I feel like with Wonder Woman, so get her out of like the short shorts and giving her pants and a jacket or something like that. I felt like that was a little bit ahead of its time.
The jacket's kind of cool. I mean, her shoulder pads are massive, but the jacket's cool.
Everybody was wearing jackets back then. This is what, like, Rogue had it, and
that's true.
But it's good. It definitely doesn't look like something Larson would have designed.
No, it does not. Super Patriot Justice, however, looks like something Eric would design.
Right. Well, it is. I mean, it's basically
it's very classic. Yeah, I gotta wonder what I mean, Super Patriot's design. I guess it's. I don't know. It's at this point. I guess it's just too classic to me to change.
Which design? The old school one or the cyborg?
The cyborg version.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think the only time he ever changed is when his shirt went from yellow to blue, which honestly I thought looked really cool when he was in the SOS.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I get the yellow because it's stars, but it's a lot on the shirt.
I remember when the miniseries came out, my older brother drew a picture of Super Patriot that he entered into a local comic book art contest, and he did watercolors on it. And he didn't know that Super Patriot was wearing a shirt, so he colored his chest as just like a nude skin chest. So it does kind of get lost. I think that's why the blue would definitely helps it out. But Larson ever rarely redesigns his characters.
No.
And generally they're like very minor like redesigns, like how like
Mighty
Overlord
Man.
like Overlord. Well, the star on Mighty Man, yeah. But like Overlord, how he used to be able to see his teeth and his eyes, and now they're just techno behind him. Of course, the cape too, but that was kind of a necessary thing to hide his identity early on.
Right. But I'm just flipping through. This is just these pages are so good.
Yeah.
looking. I mean, Dave Johnson really outdid himself here.
That page in the second issue that opens in the jungle with the guys in like the armor.
Yeah,
That is
right?
insane amount of
Yeah.
detail, and they are so cool, and they're just throwaway flunkies. They're designed to die.
Oh,
There's so much detail in there, whether it's like the little mechanical lizards recording or the names on the guys' visors.
And then this is on the second page when Superpatriot's getting shot up. The last panel on the second page, the mailman with the Uzi in his mailbag.
Wait, which one? Which page?
It's the second page of the first issue. It's the last panel.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
all these tiny little details like that, and
yeah. I guess everyone got lucky that day. That guy caught a bullet.
right.
I like the
legs
panel,
gone.
the panel where he's jumping towards the cockpit and the pilot can see like Super Patriot's shadow in his visor.
There's some really good storytelling going on here.
And just honestly, like, you know, him crashing in the water and the scene, like the panel of his hand coming out of the water, and he's just like, God damn it. And the way he's like marching, like walking after getting out of the water, it like conveys so much emotion.
And those two guys just watching him.
Yeah.
And then even that, he's got shit floating around in the water.
Yeah. It reminds me in some ways of like a Jeff Darrow type, like just load it with different signs and product placement.
Jeff Darrow's in this, isn't he? Oh no, he's in the second issue.
Yeah.
He's in the diner.
You get Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies is one of the
Cully
bad
Hamner,
guys.
I think, is one of the servers at the diner.
Yeah. How about the splash where we're kind of like first introduced to liberty and justice? I thought that was pretty awesome. I thought justice kind of looks cool in the shadows, you know. This is a cool looking panel to introduce these guys.
Yeah, it's a nice angle.
How do you feel about just being introduced to two full-grown? These are your long-lost children, Johnny.
Well, Justice showed up first in what? Savage Dragon 12.
Yeah.
12?
Was it?
When She-Dragon first showed up.
She-Dragon,
The
yep.
She-Dragon and Justice were going after Octopus and Open Face.
Right.
And then I don't think we saw him at all in the series until this, right?
Yeah, if I recall. And it was, you know,
What
there was
issue
no
did you-
liberty at all.
You said issue 12?
Yeah.
Trying to remember
He's on the cover with She-Dragon.
Oh, that's right. He gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Interesting, Dragon never mentioned it to Super Patriot.
But that's such a long time to go without knowing anything about who he is.
And that was the cool thing, I think, back then with Savage Dragon. There was a lot of long haul type reveals and stuff, which I do kind of miss nowadays.
Yeah, that was about a year before this issue came out, so that was a long burn at the time.
There's this page, the IRS.
Yeah.
There's a guy in the first panel wearing a sweatshirt that says Stuck Mojo. Do either of you guys know anything about Stuck Mojo?
I do not.
No,
I don't know bands.
I'm thinking Mojo Nixon.
It's they're like one of the pioneers of like rap metal.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
But their first two album covers, Dave Johnson did the art for their
did he?
covers. Yeah. This was the first one, Snappin' Necks, which I remember. I didn't know that it was Dave Johnson at the time, but looking back at it now, it's very obvious. Because I liked them. They had the one song, Not Promised Tomorrow, which was pretty good. I didn't get much into them after that. It was more like, not like new metal, but more like Downset and like
Yep.
Rage Against the Machine
Like
kind of stuff.
hardcore punk rap.
And that album came out around, it was in 95, so it was around the same time. I don't know if Dave Johnson was a fan of them or if they were just a fan of his.
Maybe.
But
like
by
I said,
the third album, he was gone. I think the third album cover was just the WCW championship belt.
Well, I mean, he's obviously like a fan of punk or something. That's definitely Mike Muir from Suicide
that's Mike Muir.
Tendencies there, the
I don't
psycho
know
hat.
who that other guy is supposed to be. He's definitely has a tattoo on his back of his head that says
Something boys.
something boys, and I don't know what that is.
I love the panel where they're like standing on that grid with the lighting.
Oh yeah, that looks really nice.
Like that's the thing too. Like look at the colors in this issue. I mean, it definitely aged well. Like the colors look good. There's a lot of different like shading and things that are making things pop. The green hues and everything. It's just kind of like setting the scene, because then you turn the page and the colors get, more normal when you're back in the government building.
By 95, I think they were starting to figure out when to hold back on all this computer stuff. Like early in 92, 93, they were like just trying everything.
It was a new toy. It was exciting. Yeah.
And they went overboard. But this, it looks pretty good. I'm just talking about the art. Let's talk about the story a little bit.
Well, the main thrust of this story is twofold. Johnny wants to go after the Covenant of the Sword because they've been harassing him, and they got to deal with them. And also, he's got two mystery children who also want to be superheroes. And also, there's a convoluted kind of story going on where what's his face,
Jake Farrell.
Jake Farrell, who I've literally could never remember the name of because he's such a nothing burger to me. But he's around so much. Is he from like Youngblood or something? Is he like a...
No, he was in the first...
just in this?
He was in the first Superpatriot miniseries.
Okay, so he's just a Super Patriot character.
And
yeah, he was in there.
Later in
Mars Attacks Savage Dragon, right?
Yeah.
Or Mars Attacks Image.
But
he was in a couple issues of Savage Dragon.
But he mostly just deals with Super Patriot.
But he's trying to manipulate Super Patriot into like dealing with the Covenant of the Sword without being like obvious about it.
He's trying to make Super Patriot think it's his idea to do
Right.
it, on the down low, as long as he's got the information. But all along, his plan was to have Super Patriot do it for his dirty work, basically.
Right, and he seems to know about the kids. Well, of course he knows about the kids. They're his sister's children, as we'll find out in next issue.
So he knows about them. And then on the same end, the Covenants of the Sword is in on all of it too. And they're, they know about Super Patriot's kids. And so...
Because apparently Liberty is a member. I guess
I
it's
think
one...
she's just a sympathizer. I don't know. Is she a member?
It's slightly confusing.
In the second issue, she says she is part of the Covenant.
Because the Covenant, as we usually see them, are like a terrorist organization that is like, it's kind of like Hydra. They're like everywhere.
Yeah.
The way this, at least the first two issues kind of presented is there's like, it's a large organization with many splinter groups, and each splinter group will have their own ideologies to various various extremes. But for the most part, the Covenant, at least on paper, is supposed to be like an anti-crime, supposed to be like a positive role in society to make the world a better place. But that, of course, as we could probably guess, is a cover to being a terrorist recruiting organization, which Liberty appears to kind of be on that first level of they're here to do good, they're here to bust drug dealers, and they're here to make the world a better place. And as such, she has been manipulated into possibly being a double agent without her even knowing.
She's still like in the early stages of Scientology where she hasn't learned about Xenu yet.
Right. That's probably the best comparison to make in this. Right. She hasn't been indoctrinated yet.
And I feel like with Covenant of the Sword, they're so integrated with like biotechnology, and I don't know if it was ever like stated, but I feel like their end goal is to like integrate with robots or something. Like everything they do is like combining, making cyborgs, basically combining humans with like robotech.
I'm not terribly sure if it's ever fully explained what their goals are, except to control the world,
right.
Because we'll see them on and off for the next few years, but by the end of by the time the Savage World starts, their story is basically done because they don't really have a role after that.
And then we learned that Damien Darklord was in charge of them.
Right, that was all tied into him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Where I think it got to the point where when Eric was tying everything up, he's like, I got to do something with the Covenant.
Right.
And it was Keith's thing, and I don't really know what he had planned, if he had anything planned for it. So he just kind of, I think, tossed Dark Lord in with them, and then kind of wrapped it up that way.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was like 73, 74, where it's all wrapped up with the end of the Image universe.
But
and
yes,
then they're kind of gone.
They're all teched up, like this one like spider looking dude with the one eye.
They definitely have a budget. Claude Van Damage.
Oh my god, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the little bolt for his eye.
It's another crazy Dave Johnson design.
He looks cool as hell.
Yeah.
Top heavy.
Dave definitely comes up with things I just would never think of. Like, he's just got ways to design things that are just like, wow, what made him think of that? You know? It's just...
Like, even, like, I don't know what those balls are in his hands.
They're
laser beam balls?
Yeah, they're for shooting laser beams for sure. They're diodes.
Oh, wait, he's using them as shockers on the next page, I guess.
Floating orbs.
Yeah.
He definitely makes the Covenant henchmen look cool as hell, though, with their kind of like,
like
looking armor,
medieval looking armor. That's their whole thing too. Is they're all like knights,
paladins. Yeah,
yeah.
That's
and of course everything's still got that anime influence. The pipe sticking out at every angle. Very Appleseed-esque. Ghost in the Shell. So yeah, getting through this first issue, I mean, he finds his kids and they decide to take out this cell where, they get, Superpatriot gets told by what's-his-face that there's this cell and he should go, investigate, and so he does, and that's where he discovers his children. They make their introductions. And then we also find out that all of this was a big manipulation by both sides to get them all together, because apparently the Covenant's working on a plan to eliminate Superpatriot, and this is part of their plan. At least that's what I believe to be the case based on the scenes we see back at the office, back at the Covenant installation.
And also, like, kind of at the end, the big reveal is that Jake Farrell is related to Liberty and Justice's mom.
Right, he's the brother. And, she's deceased, which I suppose we should have guessed, but.
Liberty and Justice Farrell.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just got that. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, I gotta say no to that one. That was
that's got
too much.
Larson written all over it, I think. There was, we don't really see much of Jake anywhere else besides the Superpatriot stuff. And who does he work for? Or what does this see?
The seal on the ground on the floor says CIA. He seems
CIA.
to be a CIA director of some kind.
That
Director of Enhanced Covert Operations.
As part of the CIA. Yeah,
as part of the CIA. Yeah.
So Jake Farrell appears in Bloodstrike number 8, Freak Force 8, 9, 11, 12, and 18.
Which I do recall because he was like the third guy manipulating that whole situation.
Mars Attacks Image.
Space Ants?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who hired him for that.
Mars Attacks Image. He's in Savage Dragon 40, 50. He's in 171, which I don't recall.
That might be a backup.
That's the one with Thunderhead's first appearance, but I forget why he's in it.
I don't know. I have no memory of that. It's still with the CIA, I assume, eh?
Yeah.
You said 171?
Yeah.
Well, let's find out. To the magic of the internet.
At the government building where Emperor Kerr's remains had been taken for studying, Malcolm and Angel are shown destruction caused by two intruders. Jake Farrell shows them both video footage of the invaders, whom they identify as Dark Lord and Emperor Curl. Malcolm notes that he assumed the SOS would have provided better security for this facility, but Angel points out that most of the roster was slaughtered at the hands of Kerr, and that few survivors, including Superpatriot, remain. Yeah, I have no recollection of that. But anyway,
No.
that's the most recent, and then he was in Superpatriot, this series, and War and Terror.
Well, getting into the next issue, I suppose. What's the cover on that one? That is the... Oh, right. We see the kids, and we see Johnny, and they're all high kicking it.
The Covenant logo.
Yeah, high kicking and action posing.
Less busy than issue 1 cover.
Yeah. I think Chris Eliopoulos designed the Superpatriot logo too, although he's not. I don't think he's credited, but it's a great logo.
I assume he did. Yeah, it's really nice.
I think we've seen that logo. I want to say it was on a Savage Dragon cover before the first miniseries, or it might even have been in the
like a versus Superpatriot or something.
Something. I have to double check that. I feel like we've definitely saw it before the first miniseries. We may have seen it in the Bloodstrike, the Blood Files, or whatever the Youngblood case files issues
Strike
were.
File?
Strike Files, that's it.
What did you call it?
Blood File.
The Blood File.
And Josh Eichhorn is related also, because apparently he's Superpatriot's ugly stepsister, according to the credits of issue 2.
Oh boy.
So we're getting all kinds of genealogy lessons about Superpatriot.
Chris E does a big, not Chris E, Josh Eichhorn does a big write-up at the end of issue 1, which I think is funny. There's within it, there's a paragraph that's talking about like the creative team.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Tom Mary Beerbaum, and he says they're also written the current Star miniseries for Eric, which is out now. Check it out. And a Dragon annual, which Adam Hughes will probably never finish, and he'll be canned and will scramble to find a suitable replacement. Watch this space. It'll be drawn by somebody someday, I promise.
That all turned out to be true. When did that come out? Like 97?
Wait, a what? Savage Dragon annual?
It was Sex and Violence.
Yeah.
Oh.
Remember Adam Hughes
It was
started
supposed to be an annual, but then they split it up into 2 issues and had someone else do it. I think, was it Rick Mays?
I think so. It was Adam Hughes first, and then they got somebody. Didn't they get somebody else who also couldn't do it?
There was somebody else who flaked out.
And cursed.
And I think like Adam Hughes, I think that whole like Gaijin Studios, like Eric just used like all of them, because it was like Dave Johnson, Jason Pearson, Adam Hughes, I think Cully Hamner. Was it Hamner? Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
I think so.
But I don't think he did anything on Dragon. But he makes an appearance in this comic. But anyway, like at least 3 of those guys from that studio drew a spin-off book for Eric.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts at the time. I mean, those guys were huge in the moment, and that they all went on to they all went on to big things.
Yeah,
and they all had like their own unique style too.
Oh yeah. They all had a very like underlying like anime influence as like the thing that tied them together, but they were all different in their ways.
Well, the funny thing is, like, with Dave Johnson and Adam Hughes, it's like they just basically became cover artists, and they're both really good at it and got a lot of work doing just covers.
And for 2 completely different ways of going about it.
Right. And, I mean, obviously Adam Hughes, I think, had difficulty, like, drawing sequentials in a timely manner, and probably the same thing with Dave Johnson.
Well, I know Dave has mentioned before that he has a hard time, and you can see with the people that he can draw tech all day.
Yeah.
But he has a hard time drawing faces consistently.
Yeah, his close up when you see close ups of like human faces, especially Liberty,
Yeah.
they does tend to change panel to panels in sometimes.
And I'm not ragging him; it's hard to do. But I know when he was doing Red Sun, he's like every panel, Superman looked like a different dude.
Yeah.
But he can draw this tech stuff consistently.
Yeah.
I think he's gotten better at it, but
Yeah, and I think he's still better than most artists out there that I like. I don't know. Like, I look at this stuff and I'm
there's
like,
nothing wrong with this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would take his art every day of the week over most stuff. Like, I wish he did more sequential stuff.
But I think that might also be one of the things that's holding himself back from doing more sequentials.
Sure. Just not happy with himself.
You can get that stuff in your head, and it's hard to do.
Dude is so talented, though.
Here's a dumb question: that flashback scene where we see the kid's mother in issue 2, is it? Am I crazy, or does that kind of look like Eric?
What?
His like art style, the art.
It was inked by Dick Giordano.
Okay, that's why it looks different then. Because
I was trying to give it like that '60s look.
Yeah. Okay. So it's definitely. So I'm not crazy. It's definitely going for like a '70s Marvel kind of look.
Yeah, and they had different inkers on the first miniseries too when they did flashbacks.
Yeah, if you look at the inside cover, '70s inker Dick Giordano.
Oh well, there you go. I don't have the credits for the individual issues, unfortunately.
Oh.
I didn't pull those out.
You're just looking at the trade.
I got the trade, and it does show Dick Giordano as as credited as an inker, but it doesn't tell me what he inked. So I have to guess.
I did find it funny. The head of that cell from the Covenant, the big robot guy.
Yep.
When he gets called by like the Grand Leader, which I don't think we ever find out who that is or anything. The guy that's kind of like,
it's Dark Lord. It's Dark Lord the whole time.
Right. Which obviously it could be. Now that's kind of been revealed, but
What, in issue 2?
yeah, issue 2, he's like talking to the hologram, which you never find out who he's really talking to. It's just like kind of a pink outline.
I think we do.
Do we?
I think later in the.
All right, I don't remember. I haven't. I feel like I'm reading this again for the first time. Like I don't remember anything that happened.
It's been a long time since I read it myself.
And
it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure that is revealed to be somebody else in the later issues. I don't want to spoil it for you guys.
It would be. I mean, Dark Lord hasn't been created yet. I highly doubt Eric has like fleshed that character out yet.
Sure.
But it would be very, funny that Dark Lord, who is of course the adult child of Liberty, both first appeared in this issue or this miniseries.
Yeah. It's funny to me, like the head of this, whatever you want to call it, their little cluster here.
Cell.
Cell. Sorry, I was having a brain fart there. Is
They're
his
stable.
name Marshall, or is he a marshal of the group or something? Because Marshall is just like an odd name. Like
No,
such a, like,
Marshall is an honorific. It's a military role, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah, he marshals.
Wasn't
the
sure if
troop.
that was like his like formal, like his name or like his title.
His name's Marshall.
Marshall Bravestar. Yeah, I just flipped through issue 4, and they definitely reveal who that is.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
All right, so that's coming.
I love how all Dave's little contraptions have those little like energy balls. Like even the little projector has one.
Yeah, that's how they're all powered. It's always fun to have what's the word? A design motif that is consistent. So you always can recognize it. The technology
Yeah,
is being Covenant technology.
Even look at that little device, the way it kind of uncoils. It's kind of like there's some thought put into that. Like, he could have easily just made it like a Star Wars projector thing.
It could have. It should have been nothing, but he made it really cool looking.
It's like, yeah, he's got to like think it through of how that would work.
Even the way on that long panel that horizontal panel where you can see the top of it.
Yeah.
Where those little bolts, they're not just sticking straight out. They're kind of flowing with each other.
Yeah.
Like he definitely thought about it.
It's crazy.
It's wild.
I mean,
So
he
much
dedicates
detail.
3 panels to it unfurling. He really wants
Yeah.
us to be impressed by it.
And that's where I think I find a lot of that, the manga like influence it, like how detailed all this. It reminds me of like what you would read in manga, like some of these pages with like I'm big into like reading like the Gundam series now, and how detailed some of those pages get is very similar.
Well, you compared him to Darrow earlier, and I think
that's true too.
And I think what's similar between those two artists is that they don't like simplify backgrounds or background characters.
No.
They put the same amount of detail into the background as the foreground most of the time, which does kind of give everything kind of an even look. But it's got to be hella labor intensive. It's
And
not
there's
like
all these little wink things in the background.
And there's definitely pages where he didn't want to do backgrounds.
Oh yeah, he leaves them blank. Sure,
Where
yeah,
he leaves them blank.
But he does that
But when
rather
he
than
does,
do
but when he does them,
squigglies,
oh my god!
like Eric squigglies, like Eric will squiggly a background just to put some. Whereas Dave here leaves it blank.
Yeah.
Let's the color. Let's put a gradient in it.
Do the different Covenant cells have like kind of different logos too? Like
Yes.
the Tokyo cells got the little like pitchforks or whatever.
Yeah,
And Liberty mentions that
Oh, does she?
at the end because she's like, "What did those symbols look like?" Because they all have different
Ah, right. I remember now. Yep.
variations.
we do get introduced to these three dudes with the the cyberizations. I gotta wonder if maybe this is the design that Dave might have wanted to use a Superpatriot, and he repurposed it into these guys.
Maybe. I'm wondering if maybe the design that he wanted to go with was closer to what he gave Die Hard in the first miniseries.
Yeah.
Yep,
Because he
okay.
definitely redesigned that guy.
This was a fun sequence though. It felt
But
very
I'm-
cinematic.
When Ainswy and Dry show up.
Yeah, like you got these soldiers out in the jungle, kind of like looking around
It's like
and just getting
Predator.
picked off. Yeah, exactly like Predator, getting picked off until it's like one guy left, and all you see is flashes of these guys running back and forth, just picking them all off. You
Yeah.
see water getting splashed up with their shooting and stuff. It's cool.
It's a really good reveal.
Yeah, like he shoots. The last guy ends up shooting like his own guy. He's like freaked out, like just shooting everywhere. He like takes out friendly fire, hits one of his own.
Out of the way, moron.
Definitely introduce him as dangerous.
I like that they have the initials, the COS initials, right on their chests there, so you know who they're with. They don't have the emblems; they just got the.
Yeah, standing in like the bloody water.
Yeah, but those dudes were, man, they made short work of those guys. And as you were saying earlier, Jim, like that splash of those guys just standing in the river there, it's just so cool looking.
Yeah. And these guys are fodder. These guys are meant to just be torn apart.
And these guys are like, well, where does he say? They'd rather be, those fighting drug lords or something.
Yeah,
Right.
So these are the ones that like they're trying to be the good guys.
Well, they think they're the good guys. That's probably why they got sent out to die. They're a little too nice, these guys.
Could be. With the giant fucking guns. Those are the good ones.
I love how they all have their names on their helmets.
Yeah, like all these little details. I'm sure they're all people that Dave Johnson is friends with.
And even all these pages where it's just Liberty, Justice, and Johnny all like going over their backstory and like their interpersonal problems and such. It's always visually interesting.
Oh yeah, the colors and the shading, like this nighttime scene, amazing.
Yeah, he's doing some really good stuff with the shadows on Superpatriot. in those couple pages.
But look at the train yard with the train. It's like, that makes it interesting. It could have been, any other artist could have made it so much more simpler. And it just is so visually interesting with like the moon with like all the electric cables in front of it. And
establish the train yard in that first panel, then you don't have to draw anything for the rest of the page.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know where they're at.
Gotta wonder what the.
And I like even when they're shooting daggers at each other.
Yeah.
Through their eyes, they're two different knives.
Yeah.
He could have just drawn the same knife. He's not cutting any corners. There's no shortcuts here.
Yeah, it's a Superpatriot in the shadows, and that next panel, like down, amazing. In the forefront there.
Yeah, this looks
you
real
just
good.
see his goggles.
Wonder what Raspler Railroad references. No, it's it's good. Just excellent all around. It's just
this Brostoff Research Center with like the sign here. It reminds me of like what Kirkman did with the Pentagon, the parking in rear sign.
In the rear.
You think that's from this, or you think that's just?
We've seen similar like compositions where you have the building in the background and like the really like mundane sign in the foreground to like do the establishing shot. I'm pretty sure Kirkman took that from, if not Eric, then something adjacent such as this. But I feel like we've actually seen this before in a highbrow book.
We saw this in the previous issue. I know that.
In the previous issue. Although it does look like it's a different drawing. I'm pulling them side by side right here.
Yeah.
So it's not just recycling the panel.
What a madman!
Like Kirkman does all the time.
Well, that was always the joke with the Pentagon in Invincible. It was literally reused every single time as like that was the gag.
Yeah.
I think it might have got redrawn between Corey and Otley, and that's about it.
I think Mark Englert got to draw it once too.
Yeah, on Capes or something.
It was for Capes or or maybe it was for Godboard. I think it was Capes. Then you got the Hydro.
Yeah, they're great.
These guys are cool as hell too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is the joke. It's they're pipes.
That logo is so fucking rad.
Yeah.
H2O.
With the pipes coming out.
Pipe dream going on in the background.
I love it.
I do love, like, 60s, 70s Superpatriot with the long hair. It's such a weird thing. He's like a hippie, but he's like the symbol of America. It's like...
That's Willie Nelson.
That's why I love Superpatriot, is because he's such an interesting character just from his background and his history. Because unlike Captain America, he had to live through all these years, and unlike Captain America, he had to make choices, and the choice was, wow, our government sucks now. Fuck them.
Right.
Those Reagan years were harsh.
Yeah, he had to adapt with the times as they were happening.
I guess that's why creator-owned comic characters are better. Because you can do crazy things like have your Captain America have all his limbs eaten off by a shark.
This page after the flashback, where it's Superpatriot, Liberty, and Justice talking, there's those first three panels, and then there's just a big black...
Oh, the black panel, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if he was trying to leave a lot of room for dialogue.
Yeah, it seems like an odd thing to do.
Like, maybe he was expecting a big rant there from Superpatriot.
Could be. I mean, that would make sense if that was all full of, like, dialogue. Alternatively, it's possible he couldn't make the page layout work without having the bottom panels the way they are. So maybe it was just a choice to, I can't think of what to put here, so nothing. It is a weird choice.
I would have to blame Giffen, because I assume he did the layouts for these.
Maybe there was just something that didn't work.
Tom and Mary came in and they're like, just give him one little. balloon.
I love this scene in the dialogue here. It's funny because the whole time, like, Liberty is just bitching about him not, Super Patriot not being there. And then he just finally, like, has it. And he's like, oh, give it a effing rest. What was I supposed to do? I didn't even know you existed, which is kind of cool. Like, he's just like, he's basically just had it. Like, she's just been bitching the whole time.
Right.
And he just snaps. And it's like, oh, maybe he's got a point.
And Justice is such a dope.
Yeah. He's just like the Captain America Superman, like just kind of like not as much as dope, but just the kind of even keeled, like mellow type dude, like just no real sense of humor. He's not snarky at all, and she's totally like a wise ass loudmouth.
Cries a lot. Not sure I care for that, but
she's the rad lib.
She's the emotional one, yes.
She definitely voted for Bernie Sanders.
Well, I mean, she's a part of the Coven of the Sword, so she's like an ultra progressive.
Yeah.
Another great splash. I love the Covenant, showing all their tech and stuff.
It's a hard angle to do too. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Really oh wow, it is okay. So I'm looking at this on a computer screen, and you can only really see like the top part of the page as you scroll down, and it's like the perspective changes as you scroll down the page, going from
like fisheye almost. Yeah,
fisheye is because you're looking up at them, and as you scroll down, you're looking eye level. That is very much a well, it's not just an anime thing. But there are some very famous like anime shots, like from Akira, which are huge backgrounds that are just like this, where they go off into the distance when you start, and then as they pan, it's like you're looking down to eye level. It's very much the same similar technique, only on a comic page. Wild.
It looks great. It's hard. I can't imagine. And then fitting all those guys in at the correct perspective. It's a hard shot to pull off. All these little stairs.
This is a time before 3D assistance to get your spaces laid out.
He's definitely. I mean, I know it took him forever to draw these things, but you can definitely tell that he wasn't just farting around.
No. Even like if you look at the next page after that splash, there's some weird touches, like the background of like the bottom left corner of the close up of the guy's face and like the little swirl. Yeah, it's like that's weird but kind of cool. But I do like the fact that these villains, are using Super Patriot tech. So almost kind of like related in a way,
They're like the RoboCop 2.
Yeah. How about the Lemonhead Diner?
Diner scene's fun. Probably just loaded with references I don't get.
I love things like the cars. Like there's no car that looks like that, but it's cool.
It's like a spaceship.
It's like, he's just like, you feel like Dave Johns is just having fun drawing this shit, like what kind of weird stuff can I draw?
But it is still clearly a car.
Yeah, it looks like it fits, it's just some weird different reality where things look a little different.
This second issue goes on longer than it's like 30 pages long, this issue.
Is it?
Well, probably like 24. It's longer than a regular 22-page issue at this time.
I always like scenes where superheroes are just doing like human shit and nobody like really cares.
Right.
Yeah, just hanging out. Like Thor at a diner drinking a milkshake, or like Super Patriot, eating, or like everyone's just doing their own business. Like people in capes are a normal thing,
It's like 24 pages. Eric's in the diner too.
Yeah, he's coming out zipping himself up. Don't buy the chili.
Or he's just holding his balls?
I don't know. Yeah, he looks
That
like he's
doesn't
in
look like a
pain.
zip up. Yeah,
He doesn't look happy.
and this is here when we learn that she's part of the Covenant, and she's explaining to him. And I love Justice. Like, even the body language here from Justice on this, where he's just got his head in his hands.
Yeah.
It's such a step up from the first miniseries, and the first miniseries was really good. So
Yeah. I think Liberty and Justice are great characters. You know, they're fun.
yeah,
What's the deal with the dude just eating like a bunch of like metal nuts?
That's Jeff Darrow.
Is it?
Yeah.
Does it say Darrow on the?
No, I don't remember when it was. At some point, Dave had said that was based on Jeff Darrow. Just all the shit on him, and he's just eating nuts and bolts.
Wait, which guy eat nuts and bolts?
It's on the 9-panel grid scene, the second page of the diner.
Oh,
left
that
hand
guy.
corner.
I see him now. All right, he is
got, like,
eating
the
nuts and
fish
bolts.
hooks on his
Fishing
head.
lures and
Wow,
Yeah.
it did not even register what he was eating.
Yep. Yeah, I believe that character was based on Jeff Darrow. And then Cully Hamner's in here, and Eric, and I'm assuming some of the other guys are somebody too, but
Yeah, most likely. I was looking for like a Jason Pearson or something.
yeah.
Yeah, and now the issue kind of wraps up with everyone headed towards Tokyo to take on the Covenant.
They get this crazy jet, which someone must be flying for them.
Yeah, they aren't flying it. There must be somebody in there.
Very cool design. And I freaking love the air bikes that these villains have with, again, the nuclear orb underneath.
Yeah, they're not even attached.
Just hovering. Such a cool design.
It looks cool. Those clouds look a little weird though, because they're flat on the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, that is an interesting choice, having the flat clouds. But it does...
But also, it gives it depth so you can tell where they are on the planes.
Sure.
But it's. I
It
don't know
looks
if
a
I've ever
little
seen
odd.
clouds that look like that. Yeah.
Looks very McFarlane-ish for some reason, and Dave Johnson does not do McFarlane.
No. Did you read the letters pages in this? Was there anything interesting in there?
I flipped through it. I didn't see anything worth kind of really mentioning.
Okay.
Is Chris McJunkin wrote a letter in here.
Oh wow.
Who's definitely still on board with Savage Dragon.
Been around for a while, yeah.
Participated in Super Freaks.
Now, did you guys? I feel like you guys have talked about this Vanguard ad before. It says, "This ain't no seafaring samurai." Has anyone ever decided what that means?
Seafaring samurai. No. Is that the one
We had talked about it, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's got to be a reference to something. It's probably based on another ad that came out around that
Oh,
time.
of
'Cause
course,
all
yeah.
these Larson ads were.
Hold on, let me see if it's in my star issue.
But I don't know what the hell that means.
This ain't no seafaring samurai. Vanguard #1, all new miniseries. Yeah, I don't know. No idea.
The greenest hero in the Image universe is very strong was both based on a Bone ad.
Yeah, which that Bone ad shows is...
It's in the star issue
Yeah.
that we're going to be covering on a
Is it
future
in?
episode.
Oh, okay.
Unless it is in those, because I don't have those issues.
It is.
I think was in the second issue.
In the Savage Dragon statue back then was $150. That was a lot of money.
Yeah, that's why I never had it.
Yeah, me either. And then the Star series, which was promising, kind of never really. I think it was supposed to last. It was supposed to be an ongoing. Then it was supposed to be like 4 issues, I think, and then it was down to 3, or it was supposed to be 5, and it came out as 4.
What Wild Star? Wild Star, you mean?
I mean, yeah, Wild. I'm sorry, Wild Star. Did I say Star?
Yeah.
Wild Star. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because I did get. I think I'm pretty sure it did get cut short. Probably just couldn't find. You know what? Just a guess. Around this time, I believe Image made a choice to like cut back on like secondary titles.
Yeah.
And it may have
like
been part
Tribe
of that.
and stuff.
Yeah, like that and all that
Shaman's Tears.
Shaman's Tears. Those sorts of books. They all kind of got cut because they felt they were like diluting the brand or something, and so a lot of them got cut off.
But Dart is coming. There's an ad for Dart on the back of Liberty and Justice 2, so that's coming soon.
It looks cool there.
Well, the covers all look cool. I mean, the book looks good on the outside. But we'll get to that someday.
That's a story for another day.
So I think that about
Dangerous
wraps.
curves.
Anything else we want to say about these 2 issues? You know, that isn't just more Dave Johnson is the best. We wish more Dave Johnson comics existed.
No, but I do think that, you know, of all the early Image books, these Super Patriot books are some of the best early Image to come out. Like, they're just a joy to look at. They read well.
Yeah, this is definitely a strong effort. The beer bombs, they knock it out of the park.
I mean, Eric does great, I think, sometimes with like finding these talents or getting in these in the early Image releases. The one thing I love about Eric is that he didn't go for a house style that like was just a bunch of people aping him. It wasn't like Extreme where everyone was just kind of a poor man's version of Rob Liefeld.
Right.
And I think because of that, the Larson spin-off books really stand the test of time a lot better.
They stand on their own, at least.
You ever see those early Todd Knock issues where he's trying really hard to look like Liefeld?
Yeah, it's
not great.
I do think he kind of like the John Cleary trying to be, McFarlane books did not work out well, but
the
all
second
in all,
Deadly Duo series is a bit of a problem.
The guys who just did their own thing are the ones that really kind of stand out, Everyone that tried to mimic another style, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I agree. And that is sort of the appeal of all these spin-off books because they all have their own identities, really.
Yeah, and you can read this as just a Super Patriot book, and you don't have to.
Right.
Yeah, there's basically nothing in
Think
here
of
that
it
connects it to Savage Dragon, like, at all.
No.
I mean, I don't even think they mentioned that Justice had previously met Dragon. It just doesn't come up.
No, it's good. It's it's good too for like probably back then if someone didn't really care for Dragon, you could read this and still get a fan out of it.
I feel like this is would have been a good gateway series for Dragon.
That's what I
don't like Eric's art or don't like Eric's writing or whatever it is about Dragon that they don't like.
Yeah.
Get into Super Patriot.
It's what I've said for years. I mean, to be fair, the Kirkman Super Patriot books are some of my earliest Image comic experiences, and they did a lot to not only get me into Dragon more, but also to expand myself into other Image superheroes.
Well, there you go. Bring back more Super Patriot. Give Super Patriot another book.
Yes.
That's the beauty of that character too, is that he's mostly cyborg, so he can just be around forever. You can make up some reason why he doesn't die.
Yeah, he's half.
Dave Johnson is ready to draw some more.
He's half super soldier and half robot. He basically immortal.
Well, there was he showed up in. Was it Prophet?
Oh God, did he show up in Prophet? I know Die Hard did. And
which Prophet are you talking? Like in the old school Prophet?
It was like the new ones, and it was weird. It was like 200 years in the future or something, and Super Patriot was still around.
But he was like mostly just like a robot, like
Oh, right. That's right. He was like a giant robot, and Johnny like lived in its head.
yeah. It was pretty cool actually.
Yeah, I mean, not that that's like canon, but
Right.
Right.
there's no reason why he couldn't just continue forever.
Yeah, I think it was just one issue. Let me look that up real quick because I remember that. That was fun. That was a good series, especially
It
with.
maybe even been just like a page or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like
It was Prophet number 39, and it's an issue dedicated entirely to Die Hard, which makes sense because they're very similar.
they're like buddies in like the old, like they both fought in World War II or something.
The Allies.
Yeah.
Die Hard's actually a major character in that Prophet series because his whole deal is that he's lived forever.
Yep.
And it kind of sucks, but he's still around. It's actually the coolest Die Hard has never been. I'll be completely honest.
I like the character because they made like they changed up his costume here and there. They gave him like the loose Cobra Commander mask at one point and made him more robot-y at another point. I don't know. They're always mixing it up. I thought he was a cool design.
Well, you're listening to the Savage Die Hard cast. I hope everybody's got send in your letters and cards about Die Hard.
All right, so shall we wrap this one up?
Good plan. So this was the Savage FINcast Retro. You can, of course, always drop us a letter at savagefincast at gmail.com. Find us on YouTube under Savage FINcast. Our website, savagefincast.com. We are on the Spotify, and we are on iTunes and Google
just
Play.
As a reminder, we're kind of and the retros are reading them kind of in the order that they came out in a way, or very closely. So
As close as possible.
So the next episode is not going to be Super Patriot, Liberty and Justice 3 and 4?
Nope, we are still in June, July. So we are going to be covering Star number 1 and number 2 next.
Noted. All right. Well, I look forward to those episodes.
And then after that, I'm not sure. Well, I am sure. I do know what we're covering after that. But it's a lot of miniseries for the foreseeable future. And then we'll be getting back to Savage Dragon itself very shortly to get to that big issue 20. Which a lot of stuff happens in Savage Dragon 20, I believe, from memory. Sorry.
Fights Overlord, right?
Yes, I think it's the big Overlord rematch. We'll get to it soon.
All right.
Soon being
I
December.
didn't mean to jump ahead to a book that came out in 96.
Yeah. All these books are available. You can go find them in dollar bins, even. Read them now. Don't wait for us. Savage Dragon's worth it. So thanks for listening.
Till next time, kids.
Yep.
Yeah, goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Another Punch-Out ending, everyone. Excellent.